Back in the old days with Chainsawbob, back when I was a little fella and looked about like this, why, I used to live in a little community not far from here called Edworth, Georgia. And it's the place I remember as being a home place, although I lived several places before and after that. And I lived there, and this place is coming up here in just a minute with my grandparents and my mother when I was a little young fella. That's the old place right there. So I guess that's where I always remember as home. My first job I ever had was delivering newspapers by helping my brother. I got paid $1/4 a week for delivering newspapers 7 days a week. And I carried half the route. I was about 8 or 9 years old, and he carried the other half. So right down here, I'm going to take a little turn to the right, and the fellow that lived on the house right here on the corner, if I remember right, his name was Toby Green. And I got my first paying job, which paid me $1 for working all day on Saturdays, helping him butcher hogs, which was an awful nasty, messy job. He lived in that gray house on the left there. But I actually turned here because I like this old building that they have down here that they've made into a store. I can't remember if that was actually a house there or something that was built later on. Maybe a barn or something they had in the backyard there. It's been too many years ago. But I like it because of all the signs and stuff that it has on it. My kind of place. I really like things like that. You guys, if you watch any of my videos, you know I like signs anyway. I guess I'm lucky the policeman didn't get me there. I don't know what for, but every time I see a policeman, I think I'm going to get stopped. This church here, my dad actually worked when they was building that church, worked on that church. And what I was going to tell you is a story about this graveyard. When I delivered newspapers down here, my grandpa would help me on Sundays because the papers were so big and heavy. And there was an old dirt road that went back across through here. And we went to a funeral that was down here on Saturday, and I saw them put a man, his name was Mr. Abernathy, owned the local furniture store. I saw him put him down in the grave there and everything, and so on Sunday morning I come across through here, and it was about maybe 6:30 in the morning. It was foggy, and this is old dirt road. There was a house back here on the back side of this, and my grandpa would always let me out of his old Model A, and I'd run back there to that house and deliver the paper. I had to go through that graveyard, and I got off down through there, and I got down to where Mr. Abernathy was buried down there, and there was a man standing there beside his grave that looked just like him. And I throwed that paper down, and I went running back for my grandpa. I was about like 9 years old. I told him Mr. Abernathy done got out of his grave, and my grandpa got all mad at me and everything. He got out and come up there, and then he walked up there, and he kind of got scared too a little bit, and it was Mr. Abernathy's brother, who didn't quite make it in time for the funeral. He had to come in on the train, I guess. And he'd come to the graveyard early that morning, and everything was explained. But it's one of those stories that everybody's got their own little funny stories. That's one I never forget. Well, up on the hill here is the school I went to when I was a little kid. I started there in 1946. The brick parts of this school was the high school back then. These buildings are not being used now, I don't think. And that's the ball field over on the right that you see out there. The school, there was a big gymnasium right there on the left, big old white building. And then we're going to turn left here. And the school that I went to was up there on the left. We'll get there in a minute. CHAINSAWBOB riding awful slow here. The 5th and 6th grades was right there where that hedge is. There was an old army barracks that sat there. And we had 2 rooms there, and then there was 4 rooms, and that was the 1st through the 4th grade. Sat right here in this parking lot, and that was just back in the olden days. We had outhouses, 1 light bulb in each room. It's a long time ago, friends. I'm telling you. I come up here, and I don't know. I guess I look for memories when I come up here. Unlike a lot of people, I gotta go back and see those places.